Hi, I'm Joanna Mulgrew and I'm the Marketing and Product Development Director at HBXL. We've teamed up with a specialist construction lawyer to bring you contract software that will generate clear, easy to understand building contracts for your business, both for your clients and for your subcontractors. The contracts are suitable for residential and commercial work in England, and they're written in straightforward English to ensure that they're easy to understand. The contracts are thorough without being scary to ensure you and your customers know exactly where you stand before you commence the work and that you get paid on time for the work that you've done. The software is really easy to use, from some simple inputs into the software about the building project, such as details about the client and who you are, the value and nature of the work agreed, and key dates for acceptance of the quote. The software builds your professional contract in just minutes. By handing a contract to your clients along with the quote, it not only shows real high-quality professionalism, but creates a bond of trust. It's a legally binding contract that both parties have entered into. Not to mention that there is a legal obligation to provide cancellation rights to consumer clients, that's to say homeowners, before you start to work. If you sell products and services worth over £42 to a customer at their home, you must provide certain information for your customers, including their right to cancel. Failure to provide this information is actually a criminal offence, and if you're convicted, your business could be fined up to £5,000. And just so you know, this includes the sale of products and services to customers at their home, their workplace, or another individual's home. In addition, a failure to give the correct cancellation rights notice means you will not be able to enforce payment for any goods or services unless the correct notice was served. Just one more reason to have a legally binding contract in place, which is up to date with latest legislation. So let's have a look at how to use ContractsXpert 2016. To start creating a new contract, we press the New Contract button. But if you've got Estimator Express, you can import your Estimator Express job into ContractsXpert and it will automatically author the document in seconds. You need to supplement it with a few additional fields. ContractsXpert comes with a choice of two comprehensive contracts. That's the small works contract and a subcontract contract. In this example, I'm going to choose the small works contract, assuming I'm doing a large extension job, and then I hit next. The software is now taking us through a wizard which I need to fill in the various fields to build the contract clauses. This will take just a few minutes. So firstly, I need to put in a quote reference for the contract, which will be printed on the covering letter that accompanies the contract. Then you need to specify the date of the contract. Is it today when I publish it, or do I want to specify a date? I'm going to set the contract date as when I publish it as the date for the contract. The contract is going to be valid for 30 days. And I'm then going to select who the builder is, that's me. And then I'm going to select my client, that's John Smith. You'll see that we have on the end of each of those fields an address book where I can populate the addresses for clients or other people that I tend to use, and I could also synchronize with my Outlook. So I'm going to close that off. Then you're asked, is the site address the same as the client address? I'm going to say yes. And then there's a question about, is the client or employer using an authorized representative? Is there somebody else that's going to be on site that can agree changes and so on? I'm going to say no. You'll see that there are tooltips over each and every field, so if you're not quite sure what you should fill in on the contract, you can just hover over the data entry point and it should guide you in terms of what you want to add. So for this next field here, do I have any responsibility for design work? And I'm going to say yes. I'm then going to need to fill in a description of the works. And then I'm going to choose whether I want notices to be sent via email or not. I'm going to say yeah. And then I need to select who is the nominating body for adjudication, and I'm going to choose the RICS, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. That may sound a little bit complicated, but the software comes with a series of help notes so that you can understand what it's actually asking for. And this is one of those areas. If you're not quite sure what adjudication is, the help notes will explain that. So as we're working through the wizard, the contract terms are being built in the background. I'm now going to press next. So now we're going to be specifying what services the client is going to be providing. And in this example, the client is supplying toilets, water, electricity, plus storage in their existing garage and driveway. Then I need to choose my normal working hours. I'm going to untick the Saturday, as normally we don't operate on a Saturday. And then we need to fill in if there are any site restrictions. This is about access to the site at certain times of the day or when deliveries can be made, etc. So if you say yes, there are restrictions, you're then prompted to fill in a box about the limited working hours or any other limitations, and they will then appear on the contract. So on this occasion, I'm going to select no, that there aren't any site restrictions. I then need to scroll down to fill in the health and safety details, which are all important with CDM 2015. As my client is a homeowner, I'll select yes. And as I'm the main builder for CDM 2015 purposes, I will select my company, and the same for the principal designer, as I am doing the design of the drawings. So now I'm going to click next onto the next stage of the contract building. So firstly, I'm going to enter in detail of the actual quotation and the value of the work. I'm doing quite a large extension, which is nearly £42,000 worth, so well worth having a contract in place for. The VAT is standard at 20% across all payments, so we'll leave the VAT applying at a uniform rate, and that has now calculated the Inc. VAT price of just over £50,000. I'm going to leave the standard quote validity for 30 days, and I'm going to specify my job duration is 12 weeks. So now we'll fill in the details about the warranty that we're offering with the contract. We'll say yes, there is a warranty, and we'll fill in who's actually providing it, and I'm going to select that the warranty is provided by the FMB Insurance Services. And now we are going to add in the price breakdown. So if you don't have a copy of Estimator Express, you can manually put in the cost breakdown. If you do have Estimator Express, however, it populates all of this for you, which is a really great feature and saves you a lot of time. So we'll press, I'm going to add a phase of the pricing. I'm going to put site setup in as my first phase of pricing, which is just over £1,500 on this particular job. And then I'm going to add in the next phases of foundations and footings. So you'll see that I've now added some extra rows of costings in there for the foundations and footings, and you would continue adding phases in of your job or the breakdown as you see fit, and you can keep adding additional rows in, and those will then appear on your contract. Then at the bottom of the screen we have an area for adding in prime cost sums, and this works in exactly the same way by adding in lines, but we won't be using that. And then we're going to hit next to get onto the next stage of the contract wizard, which is all about payment terms. So now we're going to tailor the payment terms. There's lots of flexibility to tailor the contract payment terms as you want them, including advance payments, regularity of billing and so on. So in this example, we're going to say no, an advance payment isn't required on this job. This could be useful, for example, if you were buying something in for the client that was expensive, for example, bespoke bifold doors or something like that. But we're going to say no. Then we can specify the final bill payment. As a default, it's set to 7 days from completion, and the final invoice must be paid within 7 days. Again, you can tailor these as you see fit. If you want them to be 14 days or 30 days, again, edit and it will save it for you for future reference. And then we're going to fill in whether we need retentions or not. This is all about how much money the customer has agreed to hold back until the work is finished and signed off of all final snagging. The software is set as default to no. We'll maintain this as no, but if you select yes, you can tailor the retentions percentage for the contract. And finally, on the payment terms area, we're going to specify the duration for which you'll return to put right any defects post-completion. Again, you can tailor this as you see fit. It's set as 3 months, but you could change it as you see fit. Then we can tailor the billing frequency. You can do this by milestone or phase, or by interim payments. We're going to leave the billing frequency as it is in this example. However, you can tailor it to milestones by adding them in line by line as you want to bill. Or if you want to be quicker still, you can copy the detail from the price breakdown and pull that information in through from the previous screen, which is great because again it saves you a lot of time. But as I say, in this example we're going to change that to interim payments. And the interim bill, we're going to bill every 7 days. You could change it to 14, 30, etc. and the software will remember that for the future. And now we're going to click Next to get to nearly the end of the contract building. So here we are in the assumption step of the contract wizard. It's good to put any assumptions that your contract is based upon in here. You just simply type in freeform. In this particular example, I'm going to leave this blank, and then I'm going to click Next. And now we're at the stage that we need to enter in details of any key documents for the project as appropriate. We're going to add in that we did the design of the extension, so I'm going to paste those in. And then under the section Estimate, Schedule of Works and Other Works Documents, I'm going to add in that I did the estimate. And you'll see that I've now added in 2 other works documents, and including the build program. And then I'm going to click Next. I'm going to add in details of items to be supplied by the client. We're going to leave this blank and tick to be defined by the client at a later date. And then I hit Next. And the same for subcontractors. The client doesn't have any subcontractors in place at the moment, so we'll check that as to be defined by the client at a later date. We then hit Next. And now we're in a preview of the contract. So after that information that we've put in, we get to see a really great preview of it. So we'll scroll down the covering letter. And then you're into the articles of the agreement, the details of the customer and the contract. So we're going to hit Finish so that we can publish the contract and print it out. So we're now at a stage where we can quickly review the details we've entered into the contract wizard before we publish the contract and print it out. So you can see that we've got our quote reference in, the builder and contractor, the client that we entered and so forth. You can see in site details that there's all these client services that we specified and the fact that we don't work on a Saturday. If we move into the Money tab, we can see the cost of the job and the price breakdown that we specified, and so forth. So it's all there, so you can open up your contract at any time and make final edits to it as you see fit. And now we're going to hit Publish. So here we are now in a PDF of the contract. You can see that there are a number of pages that you can look around the contract itself. But if you do want to make edits, as I said just now, you want to go back into the software from where you can make those changes. So we'll go back into the software now. If there are any changes, you can fill them in here and then republish. And if you go to the Publish Contracts tab, you will see all versions and variations of the contract that you have made. If you want to print out any of the other supplementary documents, such as the change of works, cancellation form, the notice of right to cancel, and the Start Work Now form, you can do so. The latter 3, cancellation, notice of right to cancel, and Start Work Now, are part of the contract. The change of works, obviously you don't want to give that to your client in advance of them needing to change works. So if you want to, you then click on that button, and again it opens up a PDF of the contract. And here is a merged one from the client. Okay. So that's how you can quickly and easily create watertight contracts and documentation with ContractsXpert 2016 to ensure your business gets paid, it helps you win more work, and will elevate the professionalism of your business above your competitors. Thanks for listening.